Amid tensions over U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown across the U.S., particularly in the state of Minnesota, federal agents have reportedly been granted broader powers to make arrests without warrants. Now, according to the New York Times, a memo accessed from the Internal Immigration and Customs Enforcement centered on a federal law empowers lower-level ICE agents to carry out sweeping arrests of suspected undocumented immigrants. The policy shift reportedly comes amid the massive deployment of masked immigration agents by the Trump administration into cities across the U.S. The New York Times report also notes that a memo issued in May last year authorized ICE agents to enter homes with only an administrative warrant instead of a judicial one. Following the controversy involving the crackdown by ICE agents days ago, the President of the United States said he would de-escalate a little bit in Minneapolis after federal agents fatally shot 2 people. Meanwhile, anti-ICE protests continue to erupt across the U.S. Thousands of protesters took to the streets of Houston and L.A., holding signs and chanting slogans to denounce the actions of federal agents and demanding their withdrawal from Minnesota. Protests also broke out in the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C., demanding accountability for such operations. Let's talk to Mr. Edward P. Joseph. He's a lecturer at the Johns Hopkins University Advanced International School. He is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Mr. Joseph, it's good to see you and thank you very much for your time. Do you think it's about time President Trump backed down?
Eric, good to be with you. And the answer to your question is unequivocally yes. And it's not so significant that I say this. What's significant is that a strong majority of Americans say that these ICE tactics have gone too far. We're talking about almost 2/3 of independents, those independent voters who determine the elections in the United States, including in the battleground in the Midwest. And almost 2/3 of independents say that these ICE tactics that President Trump and his administration have put forward have gone too far. And again, it's not significant to what this individual has to say, but what we see how Republicans in Congress, although they're too afraid in most cases to speak out, we see them actually collaborating with their Democratic counterparts now, backing down on this potential shutdown of the government in order to agree on restrictions, congressionally mandated restrictions on ICE. Please.
Mr. Joseph, let's talk about some of these worries that are really emerging right now. And we see some new policies have been enforced by the Trump administration on ICE agents that they can make arrests without warrants. What does that do really? Because doesn't it make the situation even more worse and escalatory?
Well, of course, it's another worrying example. And of course, it flies in the face of the quote that you had of President Trump saying that he was going to, quote, de-escalate a little bit. Well, they have not done that, in fact. And we see that the protests, the determination of the protests, protesters in Minnesota and in other places, as your report noted, continue. And here's the important point here for anyone trying to grasp this, is we're talking about the assault on horrifying assaults, these 2 fatal cases involving Renee Good and Alex Pretty, both of whom were shot. But they were shot while exercising their constitutional rights. And here you see, Eric, this is the great irony, is that it's the Republican Party and conservatives who are typically the ones to speak about the overbearing federal government and states' rights, and even, of course, First Amendment rights to speak up. They don't want to be canceled, in their words, and also the Second Amendment rights to bring a weapon. And we see that the Trump administration violating all of these long-held conservative tenets and blaming in both cases, in both of these egregious cases where Rene Good was shot dead by agents and also Alex Preti. In both cases, the administration immediately rushing to smear them and blame them. And Americans,
and call them terrorists,
again,
and call them domestic
exactly,
terrorists.
Outrageous remark. And then, again, a problem for President Trump with Republicans is then blaming Mr. Preti for the fact that he had a gun that he did not reach for, that he did not hold. He was holding only his phone, while exercising, again, a constitutional right to video these events. So this is what is the great irony of this, and it is increasingly, again, a problem, a political problem for President Trump. And I underscore, it's not that 90%, over 90% of Democrats oppose, which is an incredibly high number. It's that almost 2/3 of independents, those are the ones who look at information. They don't just consume one side's information. They are not partisan, and yet they see the assault on American constitutional rights, and they are deeply concerned about it. Please.
Mr. Joseph, we'll have to end it there. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
You're welcome.